passed its deadline day for companies vying to design and build that big, beautiful wall on the U.S.-Mexico border, which was a cornerstone of Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Among the requirements laid out last month, it should be physically imposing, meaning at least 30 feet tall, although heights of 18 feet may be acceptable in some areas, they said. It should go at least 6 feet underground, should have features that prevent climbing aids like grappling hooks, and the north, U.S.-facing side should be aesthetically pleasing. The government agency in charge of overseeing all this is the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. I'm joined now by the commissioner of that agency for the last 3 years under Barack Obama, Gil Kerlikowske. Before that, he was the Obama administration's drug czar and is now a fellow at the Harvard Institute of Politics. It's really good to meet you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks.
You said it's probably not going to work. Why is it probably not going to work, that wall?
Couple of reasons. One, the flow of people coming through is through the Rio Grande Valley, McAllen, Texas area. That is a river that can be a raging torrent. It can be ankle deep. It changes direction. And lots of the property along that river is private property. But the second thing is that people aren't running, dodging, weaving, or trying to avoid the Border Patrol. They're walking across in the ankle deep areas and turning themselves in to the Border Patrol.
He said, Donald Trump said, and I assume this is on your watch, the border was soft and weak, drugs were pouring in. What was your reaction when you heard Trump say that?
So I think he's wrong in many ways. If you look at crime along the entire southwest border, from a San Diego to an El Paso to a Tucson, those cities have some of the lowest crime rates of any cities in the country. Number two, the drug seizures for instance, marijuana have been down for the last almost 6 years. Well, we have 8 states in which marijuana is legal. And so there may be some correlation there. The other part is that the drugs that are certainly of concern in this area, heroin and fentanyl, they come in through our ports of entry, either people putting them on their bodies or coming through in a vehicle.
You know, speaking of going down, David Aguilar, who was a Customs and Border Patrol commissioner before you, I think for Bush, am I not correct about that? I think
no, he was during the Napolitano Obama, and he was an acting commissioner.
Acting commissioner. He testified in front of the Senate today. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
When the U.S. stands strong and takes certain actions, substantive action, this administration has said we're going to address illegal immigration. ICE has started working in the interior unlike other times. So that message resonates.
And he went on to say, in March, 67% down illegal crossings of the border. Remember last month we heard 40%. Are they doing something right that wasn't done right before, maybe by you? Or what are they doing differently to cause this drop?
So we know that the vast majority of the illegal migration is through 3 Central American countries. And it's not from Mexico because, 1, Mexico's safer, and 2, the economy's better, so people aren't leaving. But if you send a message, and I think the message has been very clear, that you're going to be detained, that you're going to not be allowed entry, that you're not going to get that opportunity for a hearing, then the chilling effect on that, I don't think there was any surprise that the numbers are down as much as they're down.
Should Barack Obama have done the same thing?
So I don't exactly know, because that was pretty far out of my field. But if you come to a port of entry and you say, look, I'm claiming asylum, or I am claiming some level of protection, you're entitled under our laws to a hearing. If you're already told, look, your chances of getting a hearing or your chances of making that claim are few and far between, you're not going to come.
You know, I've read you say that you thought, and I'm going to paraphrase, and obviously you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that the travel ban procedurally implemented poorly, but on the merits, you believe the president did have the power to impose first the 7-nation majority Muslim ban and the 6. Why do you think the courts essentially ruled, the Ninth Circuit and the judge in Hawaii basically said a Muslim ban by any name is a Muslim ban. You don't agree with them. Why?
Well, I think that if you go back to almost to 9/11, every part of our travel system in the United States, people coming into our ports of entry, et cetera, has been reviewed, looked at, tweaked, changed, et cetera. The president said for 90 days we are going to hit the pause button and we are going to review this. I think that's probably within his authority.
Even if courts determined that he was targeting Muslims?
I think the court issue has been that they want to use the language that he used during the campaign and draw that together. In the long run, whether they continue to uphold that ruling, I don't know.
You know, correct me if I'm wrong here. I think the union that the workers that you led had never endorsed a presidential candidate. Is that true until Donald Trump?
I don't. The Border Patrol Union is the union that endorsed
Customs and Border Agents. Yes, was that not under you?
Actually, it's two separate units. There's the United States Border Patrol, 21,000 people. There's Customs and Border Protection, about 24,000 people. They're represented by Treasury. The Border Patrol Union endorsed candidate Trump, but I don't actually know if they'd ever endorsed candidates.
Well, I don't think
in
they
the
have
past.
before. What do you think that statement was? I do know that they say, I went to their website, they'd never endorsed the presidential candidate before. Okay. What kind of statement do you think? Are they saying that those who went before, including President Obama, was not tough enough or didn't give them the power they thought they needed? What do you think the statement was?
Yeah, so what I really think is that you have you have 21,000 Border Patrol agents. The vast majority care about their life, work, family, etc. The Border Patrol leadership, the 20-some-odd people that are elected leaders, they're the ones that made that vote. They did not take a poll or a vote of the agents themselves, and as we know from published reports, several of the Border Patrol union reps in local unions were not particularly happy with that decision made by a handful of people.
So you don't think it was representative? You know, Gina McCarthy was sitting in that chair the other night, former head of the EPA, at the end of Obama as well, and she said something to me that was stunning. She said she reached out to Scott Pruitt, who's the head of the EPA, her successor, and said, if I can help you in any way, I'd love to. No response, not even no thank you, nothing. Did you offer to help I mean, there's an acting person who succeeded you?
I did. The president made it very clear to all of us that we had to make this a very smooth transition and that anybody coming into office should have all of the information they need to do the job. I was never contacted.
Did you make that offer?
Numerous times. Never heard a word from anybody.
But does that not trouble you? I don't mean personally, but does that not trouble you in terms of the transition and the smoothness of the transition?
Well, I think it does, because when I became a police chief in Seattle, the former police chief who reached out to me and said, let me tell you my inside views. And that was very true when I became a police chief in Buffalo. You really want to see the agency be successful. It's hard to do that if you're not going to get the inside scoop.
Gil Kerlikowske, thanks so much. It's good to meet you. I hope to see you again.
Take care.
I really appreciate your time.